Welcome, my friend, to Next Level Change Success. I'm Therese, a change strategist and practitioner with over 20 years of experience designing and delivering impactful change programs across various industries. In this podcast, I share real-world practical strategies to help you create and deliver positive change experiences, whether you're a leader, practitioner, or someone looking to bring new ways of working to life. In today's fast-paced world, change is constant. Here we focus on how you can put people at the centre of your change strategy, because people with a sense of purpose are the most important link in driving performance. So if you're ready to create meaningful change and achieve all the success that comes with it, keep listening. Together, let's change the conversation and take it to the next level. Level Change Success. My name is Therese, and I'm the founder of myvirtualchangemanager.com. I'd like to acknowledge that I'm recording on Tharawal country and pay my respects to the traditional owners and custodians on the land on which I am recording today, and to elders both past, present and emerging. So today I want to talk about the change process, and change management is a process. Now, I read recently on LinkedIn there was someone who had commentary and unfortunately in the industry saying change management is more than a process, and by talking about it being a process, it devalues it, rah. I have to say I had an emotive response, as you can tell, to a post like that, because change management is a process. It is. Actually, in fact, all organizations have processes throughout their organization. And by not acknowledging that it's a process, essentially what you're doing is making it like it's some sort of magical, mystical discipline. And change management isn't. And now, when the individual talked about, people selling frameworks and courses and things, I agree. There's a lot of people, organizations out there who just talk about tools, they talk about application of those tools, and there is absolutely a place for that. But majority of the work that a change manager does is influencing, building relationships, undertaking the process, making sure that there are certain documents and templates completed, thought processes workshopped with individuals and with teams so that people get taken through the change journey with them so that you get a good outcome for the project, the program that you're working on. Or if you're in a business as usual role, there is also something very relevant to understanding these tools and techniques so that you can enhance the outcomes that you're currently achieving if you need others to change the way that they're working as a result of the actions that you take. So you can tell I'm a little bit on my soapbox, and I'm going to take you through. There are 4 stages as to the change process. The first one is the planning stage, and that is quite critical. Most of the time, it's a luxury. If you are a seasoned practitioner, I have more than 20 years experience in this space. I was doing change sometimes before they called it change because I had a communications and marketing background. But most definitely when I went and then trained in this discipline and understood that there could be a process I could implement, that was great. Over time, I have created my process that did align more to where majority of organizations' maturity levels are. And of course, that's what my virtual change manager looks at training people in so that people can apply the process in their change that they want to introduce to get better outcomes for the people that they work with. And then you understand, once you've been implementing these tools time and time again, the key critical path and the key documents and key thinking points, key workshopping points that you really must pay attention to. And the reason why the process is so helpful is because the process helps you go into certainty when you are in a space of confusion, which oftentimes when you're working with an organization that's not very, very mature, or with stakeholders who aren't very mature, by having a process that you can walk them through, it means a lot of the questions that you ask aren't viewed as antagonistic. And that is where most people come undone. And I did see some of the comments to that LinkedIn post, which also had me really frustrated, because many people in this discipline use the title of change, like, I use an agile approach so that I can ask the questions that need to be asked at the right time, and et cetera, et cetera. And I often think, well, this is possibly why people and change managers, when they come into an organization, they fail at engaging, they fail at building the relationships. And you might be in that boat where you've been able to go to formal training, but you're finding it really difficult to navigate organizations and teams that you work with. And as a result, you may not be able to see the tenure that you want to in your role as a change manager. And that's really because your relationship building, your ability to rely on a process to a degree as a fallback around needing to ask certain questions, to complete certain things, to be able to step people through in a non-threatening way, the thinking that sometimes does not happen, and possibly majority of the time does not happen in organizations which are reactive, which just want to get things delivered, who celebrate delivery as success, not outcomes as success. And if you go in guns a-blazing and yet not even have a process that you're working to, well, then people really will just arc up, will not want to work with you, and you will find yourself really struggling. And so the process that we take people through are 4 simple steps. The planning process, and of course that's quite key when it comes to change, because understanding your stakeholder landscape helps you build the relationships you need. Understanding the impacts, so the assess and design stage. The 3rd stage we have is implement and reinforce, and that's a really dynamic stage in delivery, so that you're making sure that you're responding, not reacting to issues that might arise. And then, of course, what I call the gold nugget stage, which is stage 4, which is review and learn. And that's where you get the most uplift. That's where you can actually provide the most amount of value to the organization in the form of a playback, in form of capturing the lessons and sharing of those lessons, and having those in a knowledge bank for future changes who might want to come in and do a similar type of change in the organization. So there's a simple 4-stage process. It's what we cover in our change management in project. Now, some people are like, well, people treat change as a waterfall approach. You can plug and play what you would like in those 4 stages. However, there are some key critical steps that you must never try and jump over. And the reason why is because, for example, the impact assessment, if you do not do a thorough impact assessment or have the time to do the thorough impact assessment, absolutely your change plan is going to be insufficient, and you're going to have to build and supplement in a very agile way if you have not had the time to unpack the full level of impacts. At some stage you will cut your losses around if you can't seem to be able to find the information you're after, or no one can share or impart the information to you, and just highlight to the project colleagues or the project managers that basically you are going to need to supplement this as we go along, and are we all okay that we're going to learn as we go along, just so that expectation is set. And definitely in the planning stage, even having the week on week, these are the tactics we're going to deliver, is important as a key communication tool to everyone around this is how we're actually going to be managing this change or rolling out this change, because that communication even to leaders is really, really important. And the other thing I like to say, if you're finding that there's a bit of a stalemate, so there's an issue but you can't seem to get traction with it within the project, is that the process and the capturing of that information is really important. Let the process drive the outcome. And if there isn't any understanding around escalations or how you get decisions to be made, defaulting to the processes that sit under each of these stages is really important, because then you can actually say, well, this is the typical process, how does it work here? And then people can explain to you, or they may say, well, we've never done anything like that before. And then you can coach them around, well, perhaps this could be the method we use, or maybe this is an escalation method that we could look at. When it comes to decision-making hierarchy, can we just discuss about who's going to sign off what level of communication, just so that's really clear, so that we can get it done as fast as possible as we go through. And then once we iterate on this and once we start to implement, we can review this type of framework when it comes to, say, for example, communication sign-off, if you're finding that you're toing and froing with various parties. By actually documenting it and showing it and playing it back to people, yeah, it takes effort, but what takes more effort is sitting in frustration and sitting in wasted time and energy and multiple conversations with no progress, because there will absolutely be a perception that the change manager is not doing their job. So it's really important that if you're a change practitioner, you're actually taking people through this. If you're in a subject matter expert role and you're looking to introduce change to another team, you do want to talk to your leader about clarity, getting clarity around sign-offs for things, who's going to be the decision maker. I was thinking this person might be the change sponsor, which your own leader might actually disagree with. However, once you do the impacts and you tell the impact story of these are the teams who are going to be impacted the most, so this is why I've tailored our communication and training framework to this, because this is what we found with the impacts, your leader is going to see that there is evidence of thought that's gone into this. They can tweak it as they need to, but they'll understand why they need to engage their peers when it comes to change, if that's the case, if you're looking to influence change in another team within your organisation. Now, they're not going to know that unless you document it, and it is really powerful when you document things, far more than having conversations. And so have the process, also do the documentation, write it down, and your communication skills in this becomes even more important. When it comes to AI, and because I'm going to weave into almost all of the episodes this year about what role does AI play in this, a ChatGPT or similar tool where there can be independent analysis of your change plan, your communication. It could be that ChatGPT does a review of your communication. Now, of course, the caveat and asterisk I'm going to put around all of this is that you must know your own organisation policy and guidelines around inputting information into an external AI tool. If you're lucky enough, your organisation might have their own internal AI tool to assist with this. But definitely utilize AI as well to help generate some of the communication, help review some of the communication, help to generate taglines, images, whatever it may be. It's phenomenal what ChatGPT or a similar tool can do, or a tool within your organization, and you should be leveraging it. It means that you don't always have to come up with a solution, and you can test the thinking and you can adapt to the output. You always must review the output for accuracy. You must also review it for relevancy within your organization, but it can help you no end around documents, evidence, any data that's going to help you have the discussions with either your leader, with the project team, about impacts, about the communication method, the channels to be used, whatever that may be. So definitely look to partner with AI in that as much as possible, knowing its limitations. So I'm just going to wrap up and push out my point really clearly that project management is a process, and even Agile is a process if you know how to do Agile well, if you know how to do Scrum well, if you know how to team well, then you're going to do extremely well when it comes to change management. Change management is a process that you go through. Now, how well or how fast you go through that change management process is going to be determined on your own experience. It's going to be determined about the maturity of the organization that you're working with, whether you're introducing change in a project environment or a non-project environment. But it is important to outline the process, to have a plan, to play back that plan to your stakeholders, to get feedback and input about that plan, to get them on the same page, and then walk them through the delivery. Without doubt, important. I'm not devaluing change management by saying it's a process. It's like risk management has a process. It's like financial management has a process. And Change management is no different. Customer service has a process. All areas of organizations have processes, including this discipline. The value add comes into your approach, it comes into your experience, it comes down to your creativity and how you apply that process, knowing the environment in which you're delivering change management and supporting in change management and facilitating that process. So please, please, please do know that change management process is important. And if you're interested in learning it, come to myvirtualchangemanager.com because we absolutely have courses about it. The difference between our courses and most others that are out in the market is we also want to have and unpack your approach, the type of discussions that you're having with your stakeholders, why you're taking that approach, how your belief system drives the approach and the way you communicate, which may be causing friction in your change, which may be impacting the outcomes. And remembering that change matters because your people matter. And I say that because this is really a time where more than ever, people need to feel valued through this change process in organizations. They need to feel engaged with it. And change may not be perfect at all or far from it when it comes to organizations and their ability to deliver change. And a lot of that will have to do with the organizational maturity, but every single person can make a difference when introducing change if they do have these tools and they do have the process, but have that next level conversation, which is about who you are being when you are leading change, influencing for change, or facilitating the change, and whether you're giving enough and creating enough space for change to occur and creating that space in a safe way for your people, for your leaders, for your organization. So I hope that you come to myvirtualchangemanager.com, sign up for our newsletter to hear about the courses. If you're looking for a credible course, which is teaching change, going to provide you with coaching after the fact, which is what we do, and also support you not just with the tools and the templates, but the approach, the know-how, and grow this community that we're creating with My Virtual Change Manager. And it can be a really positive influence, not just for yourself, but through connecting with your community, building your change intelligence, and really moving yourself forward by getting these business skills that everyone needs in this day and age. So please, I hope to see you at myvirtualchangemanager.com. Keep listening to Next Level Change Success. I hope you have a great day, and just remember that change matters because you, your people, your organization, you all matter. Have a good day.